Okay, welcome everyone to organizing yourself and your digital life. And I think this is really important because we are starting to accumulate so many digital files. All of our photo shoots, every time we go out, we have so many photos and videos, and it's getting out of control. So today we are going to figure out how to organize all that mess. My name is Paola Mendez, and I am the founder of the Blogger Union. The Blogger Union is a network of blogger communities dedicated to growing our members' brands and incomes through meetups and workshops just like this one. We have communities all over the US. I run the one here in Miami called the South Florida Bloggers, but we have communities in other cities. We have the DC bloggers, the New York City bloggers, the Houston bloggers, Minneapolis bloggers, all over. So if you want to find out about that, check out thebloggerunion.com. Let me introduce our speaker today. Our speaker is Brendan Eldom, and I met him when he was a breakdancer over a decade ago. But he owns a creative company. They do production, video, photography, all kinds of creative services. And welcome, Brendan.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us and sharing all of your insights. But before we get started, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. I am the founder and leader of Shade Life Company, and we're a creative company. So we offer from photography to video to creative direction, as well as consultation for content creation. My background is in film and also in photography. I originally come from news and music videos. So transitioning into this new world of content has been really fun, especially since social media is the thing really that we're all on and connecting with. So just taking those skills and transitioning into content creation has been basically what the Shade Life Company is based on. So taking professional and bringing it to the consumer in a whole new, fresh way. That's what we're about. I live in South Florida. I'm originally from New York, but I was born in the Philippines. And in a couple months, my son will be 2 years old, and married to a wonderful Turkish woman named Borchin, and she works with me very closely in our company. She's the art director, so she makes everything look really nice, and I just make it look technically nice. One of my close friends, his name is Twin. He's our head photographer, and we work as a small niche group of people, along with other creatives as well. But that's the core is us three, and you'll see my son all the time on the sets that we're working on. So we try to keep it a family-friendly environment.
I love it. I love the team that you guys have. So awesome. I think the best place to get started is why. Why is it so important to organize your digital life?
Man, okay. I think it's a good place to start. So, I mean, back when we had, VHS tapes, we had DV tapes, photos were physical. But now, I mean, think about when you hang out with people, to even just texting, everything is digital. Our content is digital. It's so accessible. So it's important to not only be able to organize it, but to be able to access it when we need, especially as content creators, because really this is a lifeline. This is what we use to promote. Even though it's personal to a lot of us, we also use it for professional reasons as well. So to make sure that we have it organized, so that we can output it, post it, share it, but also have it because you never know when you're going to need it on log for any future creative projects.
Awesome, definitely. I have been on that boat where I have needed a very specific image for a great opportunity and I could not find the original image. So I'm very excited to see what tools you can give us so that we can use. So let's start there.
Okay.
What tools do you recommend for our storage?
All right, so I'm a bit, I guess you could say I'm an old soul when it comes to these things. I'm a physical person. So we have cloud, we have digital things, we have websites. So if you have the means, the finances to use those and you understand how to use them, by all means, go for it and do it. I use it as far as Google Drive with my clients. However, I'm big on just having hard drive space. So I'm the type of person I have a backup of a backup of a backup. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me see here. Oh, you need to enable my screen sharing.
Oh, my apologies. Hold on one sec.
No worries. So and while you do that, so what I try to do is, oh, here it is. Okay, good. Got it. Desktop and share. You can see my screen.
I can.
All right, awesome. So I'll give you an example. For today, I recently had a shoot. Okay, so what I try my best to do, if you see here on the left side, I first begin with all my hard drives from the year. So this is all the stuff that I do. And Shade Life is very personal, but it's also professional because just like many of you guys, my personal life is put out in a professional way. So you have from 2018, 2019, and 2020. I have a drive specifically for that. Now, a next step, and this is a little overkill, but I'm a little, I come from news, so I was taught to just back everything up. I actually have a backup of every backup. So hard drives can be costly. So I would suggest that as you are doing your media management, just factor in the budget and what you're going to be able to do. And if you have like a lower storage space, then you just have to go in there a little bit more to kind of bring stuff down. And sometimes it takes some time.
So,
Uh,
question is
yes.
a hard drive more expensive than a Dropbox account, for example?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think on the account, if you are spending, I think like a terabyte can run a certain amount of a cost, right? To 2 terabytes. Google Drive does the same thing. So on Google Drive, I think I'm 500 gigabytes, and it's like maybe 599 for the month or something of that nature. I could be wrong on it. So you could go that way. Here's my thing, and like I said, I'm an old soul with this. So if you use digital platforms and Dropbox, by all means go for it. I do it on hard drives so that I have the access and I can carry it and I have the backup with me so if anything ever happens. But that's me, and I have people and friends that like to use clouds, and I've worked at places where they use servers, and it really just comes down to cost and what you
Mm-hmm.
can afford and what your workflow is. One thing I wanted to mention within this is that when it comes to organization, you can't make it stressful. It has to be a workflow that works for you, but just with understanding that taking a little bit of time for media management takes a lot of stress off of future stuff. So for me, hard drives work. And I do it just as a kind of a physical labeling. I like that. Like I'm one of those people. I still have CDs. I still have vinyl records because I like to have that. But I manage everything digitally as well. So I think that hard drives kind of bring that middle ground of like digital space and physical space that you can kind of like touch and feel and grab, but also it's just digital, so it's just there. So I think
Okay.
it takes away a lot of the physicality as well.
So, sorry to keep asking, Mark, interrupting you, but
No, you're
when it comes to hard drives, do you have a specific brand or something that you can recommend for us?
So I'm as a content creator, as a photographer, digital creative. I work with G drives mainly because I was brought up on Mac, so Mac was very closely tied to G drives. But I mean, today is like phones and it's like cars. Like you don't really get bad tech too much. So if you get a Seagate, if you get a Western Digital, I would just say keep in mind the physical build of it. So I get G drives because they're built. So if they drop, something happens, I'm okay. But in
Mm-hmm.
new technology, a lot of people have solid state hard drives. They're a little more pricey, but for backup purposes, I don't think you need them, at least to back up. I have a solid state drive only for working off of, and then everything else is for backup.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions already in the chat, and
Yeah, go
someone's
for it.
asking, do you recommend a specific external hard drive for large video files?
For large video files. Okay, so if you are, like myself, you're working with DSLR cameras or you're working with high-end cinema cameras, most likely you're gonna want to get something that can give you at least 10 terabytes that you're going to be working with. I do think that's an overkill for a lot of smaller content creators. However, the other side of it is that most of us, we're putting out content on a daily, weekly basis. So you have to keep in mind, and really you have to be able to feel like your workflow for that. So I would suggest if you are working with big files, to have I have a work drive, I have a backup drive, and then I have a backup of the backup drive. And just a little context, that actually comes from DJing. DJing, what they teach you is that when you have a backup of all your music, and then you have a backup and you leave it at your friend's house. So if anything ever happens at your house, you still have your music, right? So that's why I learned it from there. But I also learned it as far as news. It's just important to have the backup. But if you can't afford the backup to the backup, it is what it is. Just keep in mind that you never know what can happen. So I do think it's important to have a good amount of space within your drive.
Okay, that's great advice. Um, Brandon is also asking, is there a risk of a virus infecting a hard drive or a hard drive becoming warped?
Yeah, I think that you risk a virus either on a cloud basis or if you risk it on a hard drive basis. I think what you have to be very careful of. I don't use the internet when I'm using my hard drives, mainly because I'm using them for meaning I don't connect my hard drives to anything that is internet based. And the thing about digital stuff is that as far as like cyberspace, right?
Sorry, sorry, we lost your audio for a second.
Unmute. Can you hear
There
me
we
now?
go. Yes.
Okay,
Got
cool. So the thing about having on a cyberspace, like a server or something, is usually connected via through the internet. So that's like one thing that you have to be careful for, of course. The truth is that you can't fully protect yourself in either direction, but you yourself just have to be smarter with how you're handling your files, where they're going, what programs you're using.
what
Whenever I'm in
links you're
work,
clicking on.
exactly, yeah, because there's great firewalls. I'm a Mac user, so I very rarely have any issues. Actually, I've never had an issue as far as viruses, just because of how it's built. But it could be different for other Mac users. But that's my suggestion. Is just making sure that you're responsible with where you're going as far as in cyberspace, because you can risk it in either direction.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So I think we'll let you show us a little bit your
Okay, cool.
organization system before we jump in with more questions.
No problem. All right, so let's go. So in 2018, 2019, I started a 100-day vlog, and that was right before my son was born. So my wife and I, when we thought about it, we had 100 days until he was scheduled to be born. So we wanted to put out a video every single day. So a lot of it came with making sure that we had to be organized. So not all of it is on this drive, but let's go to 2018 if you can see. 2018, if I go to 2018, now you see here it's labeled within each month. So and I'll show you how you can do it on your phone as well if you're only using your phone. Label it here, and then which each one, whenever I shoot, I have it backed up as far as what happened, what I shot it on. This day I went to the airport. All these are from my phone. This is just pictures that I took. So this way, when I know, and the best way that you could do this is that if you ever have a future project that you need to work on, is you just link it to your calendar. So when you look back at your calendar and you say, "Oh, when did I go do that?" Okay, I did that on the 22nd of December. Okay, I flew to Georgia. Okay, great. 12/22. Which one do I want to get? And then you have it there. Okay. So I break it down from year. Okay, as you saw here, this is the year. Then I have it within the month, and then within the month, what days that I filmed and where it's going to go. This is something that a lot of people, they're going to have trouble with at first, but I'm just to go back to what I was saying before. It is a little bit more time, but you need to spend a little bit more time so that you can save a whole lot of time in the future. Because if there's one thing that really sucks is to go through your stuff and it just says CR2, JPEG, MOV, MP4, and you have no idea what it is. So I don't go as in depth most of the time to label each one, but I do label. Oh, that's when my son was born. I do label it as far as the date that it was. If you want to be like really nitpicky and go in there and label each clip, by all means, go for it. If you go in there and you're like, hey, I really like this one, I want to save it, you can always right click and use the color tags so that when you go in, you know where it is. That's always helpful as well. But I think a good basis is just to do it by the dates that you have it. So 2018, if I go to 2019, the same thing happens. I'm here January, February, March, April, all the way down. This is the whole year of 2019. And this is more personal stuff. So this is stuff that I've shot for what we went to do. So this is when we went to Bryant Park, and this is the Vessel in New York City, which was a really cool place to go to. So that's how I remember it. I just remember when I went to it, and then I can navigate it easier there. And for me, I organize it per drive. So
I
I have, so every year I basically buy a new drive. I know
I
that's
see.
not going to be likely for everybody, but it all depends on your budget.
Awesome. And I also see once you get to the specific folder of the specific outing that you have a little folder inside that says edited. So
Yeah.
those, so that's brilliant. So, you know, those are your top pictures that you have already color corrected and everything is what I'm guessing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because like this is, let's just go here, 12 2019 New York edited, and this is the stuff that we chose to use for our own content, whatever page it would be, and some of this is from our phone, some of it's from our DSLRs, but these are the ones that we edited because but for me, I never get rid of my raws because you never know later on, especially as a creative, you learn so many new things. You might want to go back and be like, oh, I have this photo. I'm going to go back and I'm going to go re-edit this. You never know if you need it for a collage, if you need to take something out. That's the thing about the journey of a creative. Some people will disagree with that, but for me, I never get rid of anything. I just get a new drive.
Okay, that's good to know. So do you have the cable so that you can show us maybe how you organize on the phone?
I don't have the cable, but what I'm going to do, let me see if you can see it. I actually, you have your phone with you? I'm going to walk you through something.
No,
Or do
my
you on
phone?
your, yeah.
Okay, my phone is not organized, but
No.
okay.
I'm gonna walk you through something. So if you go to
Okay,
if you go to your recent photos, okay,
okay.
and just scroll and then just tap on any photo,
Mm-hmm.
and at the top it's gonna say a date, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So mine says Monday, right? Which means it happened just this past week. So what I want to do, like I said before, is that I try to break things up into months. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just scroll up and I'm going to go and I'm going to say, okay, that was Saturday. Let me go keep going up, right? Thursday, let me keep going up. So what I'm doing is I'm going all the way through my phone and I find when the month changes. So when it goes back and it's like, oh, this is actually June. So once that changes, then I can just highlight, and you could do that. You hit select and then you just select all the ones that you want. You can even do a batch capture and highlight all of them if you wanted to. So you look at it and you look at the date. So if we're in July, right? And I want to back up all of June. I just go to where my phone, it says that it happened June 31st or June 30th, whatever the date was, right? Go there and then find where it says June 1st, highlight all of that stuff or know where to highlight it. And then I just airdrop it to my computer. And then I take all of that and I put it in its right respectful folder where it goes within the month and the year that it goes in. And then if you can learn to do that on a monthly basis, I would suggest, this is something that my wife and I do. Um, every month at the end of the month, have an alert on your calendar, back up your phone. So if you can back up your phone on a consistent basis, it will take away that pressure to have to do one. When you go to the stores and you have to get a new phone and they're like, oh, I got to back up my stuff, and you don't really know what's there. But if you get into the rhythm of backing things up on a monthly basis, it's going to take so much stress away.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yes.
I'm guilty of having 10,000 photos in my phone and trying to find the one photo.
Yeah.
So, okay. How about, do you use any of the folders in the phone? Because I know, for example, the iPhone gives you albums that you can label
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. Do you organize in your actual phone, or you just use your hard drives in your computer?
When I organize on my phone, I don't do it for the purpose of like organizing to use. I only use it for organizing to show people or clients. So if I'm like sitting down with someone and I'm like, oh, you want to see what a product photo looks like? I'll go and I'll have a section that says Shade Life product photos, and I'll go in there and I can show them. But I don't use it necessarily for posting purposes, because one thing that I go over with all like my clients and also for myself as a content creator is I'm big on pushing to be a month ahead of schedule. And this is something that I have in the template we shared together, which is it's important to document over create. When you are in a day-to-day type of shooting style, it's honestly it's a lot. It's a lot of work. So you take a picture and then you post it per day. So imagine doing that every single day, which a lot of us do, and you can do that. My suggestion is to be a month ahead. So if you were to say we're working in June, let's just backlog, right? We do all of our stuff that we want to promote and we sit down and we have like a calendar meeting with ourselves. This day I want to post this day I want to post this, but we're producing June for July. So we're
Okay.
always a month ahead. So then at the end of June, I have all of July's content ready to go. And then I'm just working on the following month. And that's way less stressful to have to than creating day by day. So what you do is you document, and this is why organization is so important, is because now you know where everything is. So if you're like, I want to put something for Throwback Thursday, but I want to post it from something that happened 2 years ago, where is it? Do I know where it is? Is it organized, right? So
Right.
that's important to be able to know exactly where it is for that. Or maybe you're putting a collage together. Maybe it's a short video or something of that nature, right? You need the organization, but documenting versus creating is a way more effective way to not have to stress out so much when you're doing this content creation stuff, but also to be more prepared. And then if a moment comes up, you're like, I got to post this right now. You could do it knowing that you have 10 to 30 other posts ready to go.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, planning ahead is definitely stress relief. Agreed. All right. So let's jump into the chat again and take
Okay,
some questions. So
you got it.
Catherine is asking, does Google Drive work with non-Apple products?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Yes, it does.
Uh, Funny enough, a lot of my close friends are like anti-Apple, so
Oh,
so we always, go back and forth on that. But yes, I think Google does a great job in being neutral to both parties, whether you're PC, Mac, Droid, Apple, whatever it may be. So yeah,
oh,
there's never really issue. And plus, like three of my major clients, they're all PC based, so Google Drive is a great way for us to share files.
perfect. Thank you. So Sahira is asking, will there be a replay? And yes, we always share the replays of our webinars on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can see all of our upcoming webinars. I'll share the link in the chat in a second. Okay, Deborah is asking, do the terrain rugged portable or raw portable? I think she's asking if you should get which of those. Yes?
Oh, okay. So good question. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen really quick because this may help. I think I hope I'm answering the question.
Okay, if you
So
could restate the question for us, please.
okay, well, I don't know where the chat went. Where did it go? Where are we? Okay, so I think it's about whether you use like a rugged one that you can move around a lot, or you have one that's placed and stationary. All right,
A
I think
backup
that's
drive.
what it was. If I'm wrong, I'll try to re-answer it. But
Okay.
these ones that you see, 2019, 2020, 2018, just examples, they stay on my desk. They never leave. Okay. This one, which is it's called Travels. This is what I work off of. So all my projects are only worked off of this one, and it's a solid state drive, so it moves a little bit faster. So this one, I move with it. Like if I travel somewhere, I take this with me, and I have this backup, and I have another backup as a just in case. But that's mainly because I'm a photographer, cinematographer, so I'm working with other people's content as well. But if it's just for you, I think you're fine with just one drive to travel with. But the other drives, they don't leave my desk. And as soon as I get back to my desk, my workspace, I take what was on that drive and I back it up, and then I double back it up, and then I work off of the physical, the drive that I can move around with. I think
I,
that was what it was about.
I believe so. Wonderful. Thank you. Catherine is asking, is there a way to automate the backing up?
Automate the backing up. Okay, so I think that okay.
But she
iPhoto.
specifically asked the backing up of the backup, but just any automation that you know of that you can share with us.
Yeah, so like the computers do like the time machine thing where you can map it or link it to your computer and say that it will automatically update whenever you update. My This is an opinion more than anything, so it's not like the gospel truth on media management. I think it's important for you to know where your files are, not your computer. I think it's important that you label it and also you put it to where it needs to go, versus leaving that up to the digital workspace, because at the end of the day, the digital workspace is not going to be from your mind and your organization and how you understand things. So you can have like a creative name for certain things and it will help you navigate things, or you can label things a certain way. So that's my suggestion, and that's what I do it the way I do it. If there's other ways, by all means, go for it.
Okay, thank you, Brendan. Okay, and Jean, oh, sorry. Oh, this moved. Oh no, yeah, Jean is asking, do you have a recommendation for a date format as a rule of thumb?
Yeah. I do. So the way that labels go is it's usually by numbers or letters first. So if I put 00 in, it's usually going to be labeled at the top, right? So what I do is I put the year first. Let me see if I have it. That's not a good example. 2020. Okay, cool. So this is a different example, but I guess I can share it anyway. Let me see here real quick. Share screen. All right. So when it comes to my personal stuff, like I said, it's in the year and then the date first, because that's the first thing you're going to navigate. Try not to have any spaces if you can. I use underscores so that it stays compact, because it's easier for the computer to read those files and things don't get messed up. And then I label what it was or where it was. So this was like when we were in Columbia. This is in Wynwood, but it's dated first and then what it is. I think I might have it here where I'm working more, and sometimes you're better off when I work with clients, at least I put who it is. So this is just initials of who I'm working with. And then I put the year first and then I'll do the date so that I know when it is, because the year usually pops up all together. And then 2021 will be the following year. So all that 2021 footage will be underneath it, or the folders will be underneath it. So that's a good way that I like to tag.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so let's talk a little bit about when we actually go out and shoot. And we take 200 photos of a very similar photo. Do you recommend we keep all of those, or do you go through the shoots and you just select a few and delete some so that you can save some space? How do you feel about all of that?
This is going to be a subjective answer because it depends on who you are and what you're doing. Me as a content creator, as a photographer, one of the issues that I always find myself running into is that, do I have another option of a shot? So maybe I have a shot and I'm like, maybe I took a better angle, or maybe I liked it a certain way. So for, like I said earlier, I don't get rid of anything. I just keep everything, even if it is a duplicate. Also, because sometimes when you when you skip the number, so let's just say it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and you deleted 5, 6, 7, and you only have 9, it can mess up the numbering system. So for me, and like I said, this is subjective answer. It all depends on who you are. I suggest don't delete anything if you have the hard drive space. Now, using your phone, however, I do think it's important before you do any airdrops to go through it and delete what you don't need. Because nobody wants to have screenshots that they took that they don't really need, that's not really theirs anyway. So what I do, and I like on a month-to-month basis, is I will go through from one date all the way back to the month before, the date of that month, and I'll just go through it and I'll say, okay, I don't need this, I don't need this. Do I already have this backed up? And it's easier, and it may take 10 minutes, but like I said, 10 minutes is better than hours and hours of going through stuff that you wish you went through earlier.
Absolutely. I have so many photos on my phone from WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Those need to go away.
Well, on WhatsApp, you can turn off when it saves the photos too.
Yeah. I have it on for some chats of Pancho so that we can start all the Pancho pictures. All right, so you have somebody asking about Lightroom, and they're asking, do you use Lightroom to edit your photography? And then do you put those finished photos on your hard drive when you're done editing? And also, does Lightroom take up a lot of space on your computer?
I have the cloud, the Adobe Creative Cloud. So I mean, it takes up the space, but I also only really use my computer for work stuff. I have another small like Mac Air for regular life if I needed to. Yes, I use Lightroom and I also use Photoshop, but like I said, I use the whole creative suite. So I use everything. And when I am done, I do put it on my hard drive. As you saw earlier, I have all my raw files, and then I have a folder that says edited. So that shows all the ones that I actually edited, so that when I am going back and I'm looking at, oh, hey, I want to post from this date, I know I can just go to that folder and the edited folder, and then I could just grab those ones, airdrop it to my phone, go through it, and use those for post.
Awesome. So, so yes, I think he just answered Bart's question about Lightroom and their cloud. So Lightroom is part of the Adobe Creative Suite. It's a group of programs. And I think the Lightroom and Photoshop come together as the photography pack, and you can get just that. Or you can get all of their programs for, I don't know, I think it's like $40 a month. So it's like a monthly subscription now. And I also recommend them. They're great programs, but they're a little bit pricey if you're getting started. So,
and if you don't want to spend your money necessarily right now on like a creative suite, I do edit a lot of my photos in VSCO Cam, and that's on my phone. And I like it because it has just as many capabilities for editing as you would with like Lightroom Classic on your phone or Lightroom on your phone. So you're able to do the same amount. Of course, there's a lot of things you can't do, but I think that it's a solid app for your phone.
Right, and actually Lightroom Mobile, Lightroom, the app on your phone, is free. It has a few features that you cannot access unless you pay, but the basic version has incredible photography editing in there. So, okay, so another Paola, not myself, has a question, which is, okay, what if your content, you want to organize it not by date because maybe you're not travel, but so she does food photography. So do you would have some type of organization structure where you could recommend a food photographer who might be looking for different kind of recipes or different types of food and stuff like that?
Yeah, so this is going to go on a personal how I would go about it. I do think it's important to date your stuff, mostly because it's easier to just look at your calendar and also your mental calendar of when you did something. Now, within there, you are able to put more text. So if you have the date, from today, July 20 something, what is today, by the way? Oh my God, 22nd, July 22nd, 2020. And then you underscore and you put, XYZ restaurant and then underscore something else. The point of the numbers in the beginning is that in the numbering system, they're all going to follow suit. But in alphabetical letters, it's always going to be A to Z. So if everything isn't in order, it's going to be all over the place. And then you're going to have to scroll for hours to look for it. So that's why I suggest the number system. But along with that, you can still be able to put whatever details that you need for, your system itself. So I think it's important also too, to maybe break it into projects. I have actually, let me share my screen really quick. Let me see if I have a good example. Okay, so even within here, right, this is like clientele stuff, okay? I still have like special projects that I'm working on, right? Even in here, there's still special projects that I might be working. This is the vlog one. So, I think even within the backup, it's still important to be able to create folders that are specific for a project or a place or a recipe. So whatever that works for you, I think it's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, So Milena is asking about if you use any content planning tools like Later, Planoly, or Preview, or do you
I
just
tried.
post manually when you post?
I tried them all, and I prefer to keep it simple. And I only use Unum, UNUM. That's all I use. Uh, and what I do is I do what a nine square concept. So when you look at your Instagram, what normally you can see is about nine squares off bat, right? So I try to keep that as like my format. So you have to figure out if you are a daily poster, a weekly poster, if you are doing monthly, if you're only doing once in a while, and that will help you within your nine squares. When you look at nine squares, okay, this one is for Monday, this one's for Wednesday, or this one's for Monday, and this is for next Monday. So what I do is I use Unum, UNUM, and it helps me see how it's going to look as a template, and it's also going to help me see how I want to post as far as like my own story that I'm trying to portray as well. Because to certain people it matters, some people it doesn't. I like my grid looking a certain color scheme. I like it to look, a certain cleanliness. Some people don't really care. A lot of that is what you call like live posting, meaning I'm posting in the moment. You're following my journey every second. So everyone's different. My suggestion is you have to find what works for you. I've tried it all, and I only really use Unum.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so Bart is asking about Lightroom. And he says, he's asking, do you rename photos on Lightroom or do you do it all before uploading?
I don't rename I don't rename them unless I need to send it to like a client and they want the names. But I keep the file when it asks you like to export and it asks you how you should export it. Do you want to rename it? I keep it the file names that it is, and it will change it from a CR2 or CR3, like a raw file, to a JPEG. And it never really duplicates that because your cameras will always stay in order to what it's creating. And that's
Okay.
me. But I do know people that like to label it. So
Yeah. Well, I always rename all my edited photos when I export as JPEG or whatever, because, so I can rename them for SEO purposes, to give them a nice description so that Google can pick up my image and it'll show up in Google Images and it'll give some SEO juice to the entire article when you rename your images with words that are descriptive of the images or that match your keywords for the article.
gotcha.
So I was wondering, I know this is a little bit more of photo editing, but we've been talking a lot about Lightroom. And I do feel like if maybe you could show us how there's a process where you can select which images that you want to work with from a huge batch of photos.
Oh yeah. Let me see here. Let me go to. Are you guys using any like tag system or anything? I mean, like the numbers when you like pick which ones you want. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
how like you go off and you go in a photo shoot and you take 200 pictures
Good.
and you
Let's
open up
dive
Lightroom
into.
and you want to know
Let's
which
just
of
let's
those you're
just
going to
start a
work
project.
with.
No problem.
And
This,
so,
depending on how much you shoot, it can be a process. It could take a couple of rounds because you want to get the right photo, the right picture that you want to do. Let me see here.
absolutely. Well, that loads. Sahira is asking, what was the app that you used to organize your content in the 9-frame grid?
Unum, UNUM, and it links straight to your Instagram, so that this way you know what you've already posted. Let's see here.
Thank you,
Okay, so
Milena.
let's make a new
Yes,
one.
that's correct, Andrea. They're all sharing it in the chat. You guys are so helpful. Thank you.
All right, so let's just see. I just did a new project. You guys will see today's photo shoot. All
Yay.
right, let's see here. Okay, it would be here. See, I'm clients. I'm in here. I go to this one and see. Now I know where everything is because it's labeled. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so it all comes out right here.
All right. So you have a bazillion photos.
Exactly. All right, so my rhythm of it. let me see here. So I don't need the videos. So for those of you that don't know, I do photo and I do video because I do come from a majority video background. But photo is just too much fun to not do. So, all right. And then I'm going to import here. And it's importing. And then I'm going to go to develop. So this is Lightroom and it's going in. All right, cool. Sweet. So today we were doing a lifestyle photo of a watch. So I'm not gonna pick the exact ones. That's my dog Momo. This is, the talent that we were working with was, her name's Anastasia. She's actually from Belarus, living in Miami right now. So let's just go to this one. Okay, so let's just say it's probably gonna move a little bit slower because I'm on the internet. All right, so let's just say what you want to do is you want to use 1 through 5, depending on which ones you want to mark. So when I click here, I'm gonna hit 1. It's gonna start on the bottom. So that's the one that I'm gonna edit later on. I'm gonna move through. I can just use my arrow key to move along. All right.
So you typed actually the number 1 on your keyboard to label it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You label it there. You can also, if you want, you can right click it and you can go into
set rating, I think.
Color label, and you can make it whatever color you want, so that later on when you look for olive red, let me move this real quick. When you go to olive red, let me make this red as well. So now when I hit red here, all those reds pop up only, right? The ones that I made red. Or if I go to, go here, filters off, and I just hit the first star. Oops, sorry. First start. Now the ones that I start for only 1 will pop up. So that helps me understand which ones I'm going to edit. So a lot of it is going to be going through all your stuff. And this is a tedious thing. This is probably the worst thing that photographers have to go through, is going through all their stuff. So let's just say I like this one. That one's cute. That one's fun. That one's fun. That one's really nice. Okay. And let's just say, let's go down a little bit more, and we like that one. Okay. So now what I will do is I will go to the stars of 1. Where are we? So it has all of these ones that I picked. And let's just say, you know what? I only like this one. So now I'm going to hit 2 on the ones that I like. I'm going to go to 5. I only like this one. So I'm going to hit 2 and 2. So now when I go to the second star, it only shows me these ones that I start twice. And when I go back to 1, it's going to go back to all of them, just in case I want to make another decision. So what you do is you go through all of your photos and you mark which ones potentially you want to go through. Then go through all the ones, and then whichever ones you like a little bit more, mark 2. And then what I do is on 3, I start editing those ones. And then I'll edit them. And then 4 and 5 will usually be 4. So using the numbering system really helps with knowing what you're going to edit and what you're not going to edit. And then when you export, you're only going to be exporting the ones that you already labeled.
That is brilliant. I know it seems like weird, like why are you using those little stars? But just being able to like rate your photographs and knowing what to actually edit out of all of your photos is a lifesaver. Thank you for sharing that, Brendan.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we have a couple more questions in the chat.
Cool.
So somebody's asking, they have over 30,000 photos on their phone currently. And she's asking, do you set yourself a personal photo limit on a monthly basis, or it doesn't matter how many photos you take, you just airdrop them off your phone to your computer every month?
Okay, so let's take a couple steps back. I think using the month-to-month method is really helpful. So when you are looking through your phone and you have 30,000 photos, it's going to be a headache and very stressful to even think about going through 30,000 photos. So my suggestion is break it up into, let's just do June. So when you go to your phone, you can see the dates of when those photos were taken. If that's still too much, then just do the beginning of June and do June 1st to June 15th and only do those ones. Go through them, delete what you don't need, and then transfer over the ones that you definitely want. And that's from your phone. I don't do that on my camera because I usually shoot very differently on my camera, but on my phone, that's how I would normally go about it. And that's for photos and for video. So if I look at something and I accidentally hit record, I can get rid of that stuff. But I like to do it before you transfer because the transfer can take very long and you don't want to have things that just don't belong on there. And it's going to take up space that you don't need.
Okay, thank you. So Chris is asking, I use iExpand Drive as a backup and space saver when I just have my iPad or phone. When you just have your phone, no camera, do you use a portable flash drive or do you just wait until you get home to download? If yes, what flash drive do you use?
I don't use a flash drive. I keep it on my phone until I get home and then I transfer it. If it is for a specific project, I do it the same day. If it's only for personal things, like I'm just out, I'll just do it within the month's time. Because sometimes you do use your phone for professional things. So it's good to have it for projects. So for example, let's just say on the time that we hung out at Fairchild, right? And I want to take all that content from Fairchild and I say, you know what, rather than me looking at it next month, I'm going to take everything that I shot today from photo to video, and I'm going to go through it really quick, and I'm going to take it and then transfer it into a folder that says Fairchild on that date, and now it's there.
Okay, wonderful. So I think that might have been our last question. Unless anybody has any other questions in the chat, you can write them down quickly. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Brendan. Do you have anything that's upcoming that you want to promote and share with us?
Yeah, so we just launched, we just announced that we're starting season 3 of our personal blog. So although we do content creation for companies, we also do our own content. And a lot of that is the way that our business is structured is that we're just family and we're friends that are creating content for our family and our friends, but also businesses. So we've been really, really honored to be able to work with some big brands and big businesses, but we do it as like a hangout kind of concept, because one of the things coming from the production world, it's so intense, like times rush and all these things. So I like to keep on a kind of a common ground or like a very family friendly type of creation. It's also better for creativity. So that's our new content, which is our family, our friends, our photography, our films, and us just figuring out life as we go through it, because having family and business has its difficulty. So that drops. It's on my YouTube channel. I can link that in there so that you guys have it. But yeah, definitely subscribe and join, and it's going to be a really fun journey.
That's great. Thank you. So yes, please do share the link in the chat so that we can all go check that out and subscribe to your channel. I'm also going to be sharing the link to the Blogger Union YouTube channel so that you can subscribe and watch the replay in case you missed something, or if you want to watch any other replays from our past webinars. And also, if you want to check out our Eventbrite, I will put that down there as well. You can see all the upcoming webinars and events in the Blogger Union. I believe next week is starting your blog using Squarespace. If you would like to join me on that one, I'll be teaching that one. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to Brendan through social media. He's really nice. I'm sure he's happy to help you guys out. Or maybe you want to hire him to do some content creation for your channels. So thanks everyone for being here. And thank you again, Brendan.
Thank you so
for
much
sharing all your insights with us. All right, guys. Have a nice weekend. Bye, everybody.
Bye.